Know me. My name is Melissa Arnold, and I'm the Director of Employee Relations here at the university. And I'm happy and excited to present this new offboarding process to you today. As with most things in HR, this really was a team effort and a team lift through every point of this process. And it would have never happened without everybody's help and expertise. So while Teresa and I get the opportunity to present this to you today, please know that there are so many people to thank for making this idea into a reality. And you all know who you are, so I just thank you. So to give you an overview of our time together today, I'm just going to start by talking about offboarding, what it is, why it's important that we design this whole system and process around it, who this process impacts. And then Teresa is going to present a live demo of what this looks like in PeopleSoft. So after the demo, I will talk for just a few more minutes about exit interviews, what we're going to do with the data, and some website updates, and allow time for some questions. And then once the offboarding section is complete, we'll have a couple of others from HR present some updates as well. So that's kind of the outline for today. So what is offboarding? When we talk offboarding, we are talking about the process that occurs when employees leave the university. So offboarding is a way to formalize this process when an employee leaves through either a resignation, a termination, or a retirement. This is a natural part of the employee's life cycle, and having tools and resources to help both you and the employee will help maximize the benefits that can occur as part of this process. If you think of employees' time here at the university on a timeline, the onboarding and offboarding process bookend an employee's time here at the university. So as you know, last year we implemented an onboarding process to help streamline efforts and give a positive first impression to employees when they arrive at the university. Well, it is just as important to leave that positive impression on employees as they're leaving. And so this process and offboarding finalizes that employee experience. So why is all of this important? So for the employee, it communicates important information they need to know when they separate. You'll see a sample of all the information they're going to receive and the tools they'll have when they leave in the demo. It helps create employees as advocates for the university. So if they have a great experience as they're leaving, they will remember that. So this is the final time we have to make that positive impact on an employee experience. And we really want that because we want employees leaving going, you know what, that was a really great place to work and they valued what I had to say. It encourages good employees to return with new skills. So if they leave with a good impression and take another job, they may one day want to return and do great work for the university again. So as a part of this process, they'll have an opportunity to sign up for those job alerts and notify them of upcoming jobs that they may be interested in returning to USC for. So it also helps support our brand as an employer. So the more people in the community that are talking about this being a great place to work, it helps the university brand. And that has significant ties to recruiting students as well as employees and many more impacts that you all are aware of. And then we also will use it to gather feedback that can be used for recognition or improvement. So we can take all of this data that's gathered in an aggregate level and provide it out to you all, report it out to you all. So this could identify ways that we can improve. We can identify some trends, and we can even use it to recognize employees that are mentioned for a job well done. So the effective go live date for this is scheduled for July 1, 2022. It is the automated process demonstrated today will impact those that voluntarily separate from the university and are in FTE, RGP, and time limited positions. So the process will remain the same for those that involuntarily leave and separations of temp employees. So we're planning for some additional phases to roll out after this, and we will keep you updated as to when those occur and which groups will be impacted as we move forward with this. So this process will be effective for status change forms that are approved July 1, 2022 or after. So those that have approved job changes forms already in the system before July 1, even if their separation date is after July 1, will not be part of this new process. So the system, when a voluntary separation action is approved, the employee will automatically receive an automatically generated email letting them know they have offboarding tasks to complete and a link that will take them there. In addition to the link, they'll also see a tile appear on their employee self-service menu, and it's going to be titled Offboarding. And then the employee will be sent a reminder 7 days after the offboarding tile is assigned to them, as just as a reminder to complete the steps in offboarding. We also have a communication plan for the managers. So you, as a supervisor or manager of a departing employee, also play a role in offboarding. So after the status change form is approved in PeopleSoft, you will also receive an email notifying you that you have an employee who is offboarding. In addition, it will show up on that alert or action on the notification bar in HCM. And then the managers will also have a tile in their manager self-service screen titled Task for Employee Offboarding. So we're going to go into the live demo now and show you what this system looks like for both the exiting employee and the manager. And then we'll talk about more details about the exit interview itself and some processes afterwards. So I'm going to turn this over to Teresa now.
All right, thanks, Melissa. So we are logged into a lower level environment. We are not in the live production environment today. We are going to first look at the employee offboarding procedure. So I'm logged into the system. I'm on my employee self-service homepage, and as you can see, the very first tile on my left is offboarding. The little employee is walking down the stairs. They're on their way out the door. Before they head out, we've got a few tasks we'd like for them to complete. So let's click on that offboarding tile, and then the employee does have to select themselves in the results. So we're going to just click this little continue button to the right, but you see that 0 of 8 steps have been completed. And we're going to walk through this as what the employee is seeing. So we have a welcome page here. And then on the left-hand menu, you see all the different actions that we're going to make our way through today. I'm going to go through this at a pretty high level. We have a job aid built for the employee, of course, to walk them through each of these steps. If you have been involved in onboarding, maybe you've assisted some of your new employees, or maybe you yourself are a new employee, you will have gone through onboarding, and this look and feel is very similar. So again, as Melissa mentioned, those are the two bookends of employment. So we've now tied those two processes together, even to streamline their look and feel. So it's all very inclusive there. So on this welcome page, we have some key information. First of all, letting them know to complete these tasks to ensure a smooth departure. Some of these tasks could actually impact the accuracy of final paycheck. So we really want to make sure that folks are prioritizing the completion of this. We do ask and let them know that they need to mark each task as complete. So there's a little button in the top right corner that says mark complete. If we don't mark that as complete, even if they've taken the appropriate actions, it'll still appear as outstanding. We also have a note here about exit interviews. So the exit survey is part of this offboarding process. It's the last option over here on the left-hand menu. We have streamlined that. We'll show you that here in just a few minutes. We've taken that down from about 34 questions previously that had many sub questions within them to 14 questions here in this new process. But in the event that an employee wishes to have a one-on-one conversation, they want to speak to somebody in Central HR about their employment experience here at the University of South Carolina, we are more than thrilled to have those conversations. And we do refer them to their HR service team representative to have that exit interview conversation. Additionally, we've provided information and the contact for the Office of Civil Rights in Title IX in the event that that employee needs to disclose any concerns of discrimination, harassment, or sexual misconduct. All right. There is a deadline associated with these activities. So employees have 45 days upon their separation date to actually go in and complete all of these activities, as well as to access and print their past pay stubs, update their addresses so they can receive their W-2 and 1095-C. All of those are crucial and very important. So this welcome page has a lot of great information that we need them to key in on. Hopefully they read that and don't just breeze past it, seeing that there's not a true task here. So let's go ahead and mark this as complete. Yes, we're sure. And then you can navigate using the next button in the top right or over here on the left. That is completely up to the employee. So the next step is optional. This is for them to upload their letter of resignation. Now, hopefully our employees are providing those to you as the supervisors upon advising you that they are resigning from their position at the university. And if they've done that, then you've likely already provided that out to your HR contact, and we have smoothly separated the employee, which is what actually initiates this offboarding tile being assigned to them. So that has gone smoothly behind the scenes. If the employee, for whatever reason, did not upload their letter of resignation or they wanted to attach it again, they could do so here by clicking the Add Attachment button. This is optional, so we don't have to add anything here. We can go ahead and mark it complete because we'll say that employee number 3 has already provided this information to their supervisor. The next step is to verify their home and mailing address. And again, this is crucial for year-end taxes. The W-2 would be mailed out and the 1095-C as well. So we want to make sure that all of that information is up to date. If the individual is moving, maybe they're leaving Columbia, they've got 45 days to come in here and update their address so that we have that, the latest and greatest on file. So that is hugely important here. In the event that they do need to make an update, they just click on the row and it'll open up editable fields. And we walk through this step by step in the job aid available to the employee. We'll go ahead and mark that one as complete. Next up is submitting final working time and leave requests. So timesheets and absences. This is crucial. We want to make sure that our employees are paid accurately on their final paycheck. In order to do that, we want to make sure all of their time has been entered and approved, of course, and we'll go over that when we look at manager self-service in a few minutes. But we want to also make sure that their leave requests are submitted and any future dated leave requests that were after the effective date of separation, that those have been canceled out. So this task here is just reminding the employee to make sure that all of that has been handled. We simply acknowledge and save. Upon clicking save, it also marks this task as complete. Submitting final expenses is the next option here. So again, many of our employees might have travel or reimbursable expenses that are pending. They maybe haven't submitted everything for their most recent conference or business trip that they went on. So we want to make sure that they get all that in the system. Also, so many of our employees are P card, team card, or travel card holders. And so we want to make sure that those outstanding monthly statements have been submitted and all of those receipts have been provided to the business manager as applicable, and the card has been surrendered. So this is another just acknowledgement step here. Questions or concerns, we've got links here to the Office of the Controller so employees can figure out maybe what steps are required of them. We'll acknowledge this and then go ahead and save. The next step is to understand benefits and the final paycheck. So there's a lot of things going on at the same time, and we want to make sure our departing employees have all information at their fingertips. So finding out whether they are paid current or on a pay lag. We have employees that are paid both types. In both different pay groups here at the university. So we want to first make sure they know if they are paid, quote, current or on a pay lag. This tells them how to figure that out by looking at their pay stubs. And it lets them know if they're paid current, that annual leave payout will be in the check right after the separation date. and then employees on a lag approximately about a month after their separation date. And then if there's questions for the employee on when their insurance will end, we link them to PBA. Finally, folks transfer to other state agencies very frequently, so we wanted to make sure to call that out specifically. So will benefits and or annual and sick leave transfer over? We have information about that here. Questions or concerns should be routed to the Central Benefits Office here at hrleave@mailbox.sc.edu. So great information here to help employees really understand their departing benefits and their final paycheck. We'll mark that as complete. We're making our way through. Next, stay informed with job alerts. This is something we're very excited about. We have rolled out Ufsc Job Alerts in the last couple weeks, and that is where in our applicant tracking system, People Admin, individuals can sign up for job alerts for specific categories of positions. So when we advertise a new job that aligns with their goals and their desires, they can get an automated job alert. So we would be happy to have them back, and this task is letting them know that we would love for them to sign up for job alerts and consider working for U of SC in the future. Again, the job aid will walk them through exactly how to sign up for those alerts. We'll mark this one as complete. And then on to our very last task, which is the exit survey. Now, I do want to note for you that this survey needs to be handled in one chunk. This is not designed for employees to start the survey and then come back. So offboarding as a whole, if they maybe only made it through the first 3 tasks over here on the left, they could come back to the tile at any point in time and pick up where they left off. However, the survey here needs to be completed at once. Any answers that are saved, they're not going to populate again later. So we need to answer all the questions at once and then finish up this task. So there are 14 questions, as I mentioned. We'll go ahead and click through each of the questions so we can move forward and actually mark this as complete. So we want to hear about their employment experience. Okay, it should not take more than about 15 minutes, and that's because there are several open-ended questions where we really want some candid feedback from the employees. So first and foremost is we're asking for a primary reason why the individual is looking to leave the university or their current position. So this is selecting the top reason. And then again, there's an open field just down below question number 2 for other contributing factors. Okay, we're not going to type in all the details for this departing employee, but you do want to mention something, so I'm going to type the word comment. But again, we're hoping that employees give a lot of very candid feedback and information here about all factors that influence their decision to leave. So while we ask them to pick a primary and put that in a bucket, we want to hear about each and every factor that really contributed here. Next, we go into the relationship with the manager. So as you can see, each of the options has a comment field associated, so they can give a score and provide feedback. That is going to be crucial here. As Melissa mentioned to you, we might get people spelled out by name, whether that's a manager or another employee. There's a field a little later on I'll show you where they could mention a peer or coworker. We want to be able to give kudos where applicable. So comments are not required, but they are welcome. All right, did you tell your manager the reason you decided to leave? Yes, no. If you answered no, then the why would open up here for edits. Obviously, if it's a yes, that's the answer we're hoping for, and that communication is open and upfront with the manager. Did you feel valued and appreciated? So comments are available on both of these answers. Again, to give some kudos. Who valued you? What made you feel appreciated and valued? Was it something at the university, an individual that was contributing to that? If no, then again, we do want to hear about that and where there might be room for improvement. USC provided a workplace culture that made me feel recognized and included. So again, we want to hear feedback no matter the answer, positive or negative. We're really hoping that employees take the time to provide some candid information here. Okay, the last several questions are open-ended, so I'm just going to read them aloud to you. Would anything have helped you feel more engaged as an employee? And Who helped you be successful and how? So this is kind of that shout out field. It could be a peer, a mentor, a partner across the university, someone who really impacted their experience. Is there anything that would have convinced you to stay at U of SC? This is crucial. This is information that we're hoping to gather, and again, hoping that employees who are taking the time to complete this are answering each and every one of these questions. What should future hires know about us that you wish you had known prior to being hired? This is a great question. Again, hoping to get that feedback, whether it's positive or negative. What should they have known? Anything U of SC should stop, start, or keep doing. Again, is this positive feedback, negative, kind of in the middle there? Where can we make improvements? Where's there room for growth? That's what we're looking to hear from employees at every single level. What else do you want us to know about U of SC? So that's an open-ended question. What else is there? What else did we not cover here? What information can you provide to us as you're departing the university that you want us, human resources, leadership, to be aware of? Our last two questions. So we've got a scale from 0 to 10. How likely are you to recommend USC as a good place to work? 0 is not likely at all, and 10 is extremely likely. And finally, if you had to do it all over again, would you work at U of SC? So that sums up the exit survey. Again, offering the opportunity to any employee to have an in-person exit interview by reaching out to Central HR. We are here and ready and available. So we're going to go ahead and mark this as complete because we have finished all 14 questions. And as soon as we mark that as complete, all of our tasks over here on the left now say complete, and they have a nice little green check mark next to them. So we are good to go. We have completed offboarding as the employee. So now let's take a few minutes and look at the offboarding process for the manager of this employee. So again, I'm logged in as the manager. You can see on my screen, I'm already in manager self-service, but as you know, the system will automatically pull you into employee self-service, and you click that drop-down menu at the tip top to change over to manager self-service. From manager self-service, there's a tile that says tasks for employee offboarding. So that is the manager's role here. Just like the employee had to select their record, the manager will also select the record. If they had numerous employees who were departing in that same time frame window, they would have different rows here for each employee. So we'll click continue. All right, so the manager checklist is pretty straightforward. We have built a great job aid that details what each of these descriptions really mean, but it is mostly just for awareness. We want to make sure that the manager is aware of the expectations of a departing employee and what would fall into their lap as a supervisor. So first and foremost is to communicate that departure. So we want to make sure that internal and external stakeholders have been made aware that that individual is leaving. So the briefing status here on the right is going to say initiated for all because again, the offboarding process has started. So at least you're in the works. So to change that to completed, just click that drop down and move that on over to completed. Create a knowledge transfer plan. So hopefully this person gave us more than a couple days notice and we had a little bit of time to build out a plan to get everything in their brain onto paper or into a spreadsheet, into some sort of documentation, a living, breathing document that can help with their replacement or others in the department that may be picking up some of those functions. So some sort of knowledge transfer plan. So just like we talked about for the employee, it is crucial that supervisors are approving the pending leave requests or absences and pending timesheets as the employees are submitting them. So we want to make sure that the employees are paid properly for all hours worked, All leave hours are documented. And of course, as I mentioned, any future dated absences that are after the employee's separation date, maybe they had planned a vacation in September, but they are leaving in July. We want to make sure that those are canceled out and you have approved that cancellation so that they can be paid out accurately for their annual leave, or again, if transferring to another agency, that balance that transfers is accurate. So we want to mark both of those as completed. Collect university assets. This is hugely important as many of our employees now operate off of laptops. We have so many remote workers now with our telecommuting policy. So we want to make sure that we're getting back all of those university assets. You probably have something within your college division or campus that's a little checklist, maybe telling you all the things to get back. So this is just our reminder for you to get back any of those assets from the employee. And finally, remove system access. So that could be anything from HCM. Maybe they're an HR contact or a business manager. Maybe they have access in Banner. Maybe they're doing things in any of the university systems. We want to make sure that we've removed that access. So upon separation, they should no longer be able to log into those systems and take any sort of action. So we're going to mark that as complete as well. Again, there's a detailed job aid out there for managers that details what we're looking for when we talk about these descriptions. So upon clicking the Save button, it's going to also mark this task as complete. And then we are good to go. So we have walked through the employee offboarding procedure, and we've looked at the manager offboarding checklist here to make sure that everything was right as rain. This employee has successfully offboarded. So now I'm going to pass it back to Melissa to jump into the presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, Teresa. I think you can see why we're so excited for this after that demonstration. So as you saw, as Teresa just walked you through in this offboarding process, you saw the exit interview and what questions we're asking. So now that means that this process is fully automated and no longer a manual process because the exit interview is automatically assigned to the employee in self-service when a status change e-form is approved in the system for separation. Now, remember, this is only triggered for voluntary separation reasons in this initial rollout. There's potential, like I mentioned earlier, for additional phases for reasons such as involuntary separations or reduction in forces and even internal movement. So there is a high likelihood that we will be moving forward with some additional groups. We'll let you know. It's also important for HR contacts to submit status change e-forms as timely as possible. That means as soon as the notice is provided to you as the supervisor or manager, it's so important to immediately let your HR person know so that they can go ahead and get that action entered into the system, because this process doesn't even kick off until that action is approved. And then so for any HR contacts that are joining us on this session, it's also important to select the proper action and reason. So as a reminder, we have a separation reason job aid out there to help you determine what the appropriate reason is. If the wrong reason is selected, so let's say you chose termination due to substandard performance, then that would be an involuntary reason that you selected, and this process would never start. So we'd have to go in and correct it and fix it and get it reapproved for the correct reason. So another reason to process this as soon as possible is because the offboarding process is sent to their business email address and not their personal email. So if they're gone before the action is approved, there's a chance they won't receive that email notification to complete the offboarding process. So as Teresa mentioned in her demonstration, the major change of this exit interview process is the sheer number of questions and amount of time it previously took to complete this process. It was previously 34 questions, and I believe Kim went and she counted all the sub questions, and it was 60 or more questions or clicks that they had to do to answer on the old one. And as you saw, this is 14 really strong, open-ended questions that gives us some real data and real information that we can use. The questions were designed in the framework of the 6 pillars of irresistible organization. So the 6 pillars are meaningful work, strong management, positive workplace, health and well-being, growth opportunities, and trust in the organization. Our questions were specifically designed to gain information to these 6 pillars so that the feedback we're getting lead back to these, and then hopefully we can receive feedback that will help keep us focused on these and potentially identify ways that we can improve as well. So now we are getting all this great data. What's going to happen with it? Well, another important aspect of this change to note is that because it's done through HCM and PeopleSoft, we will be able to identify what feedback we receive goes with which campus, college, division, department, and be able to provide useful feedback back to you all. So the old manual process collected the information and certainly re-reviewed it at a high level. But in order to keep it completely anonymous for the employee, they weren't required to give us any identifying information of where they worked or what department they were with. And so we had all this information and data, but no one to share it with or didn't know who those responses replied to. So we couldn't give you really great information that was specific to your area. So the good news is now that we will have that information. So for right now, employee relations and the HR service team managers will be the only ones to have access to the exit interview survey results. And we're working together to develop a process to take this information, put it in a format that's readable, and report aggregate data out to you all so that you can have the benefit of knowing the information and identifying those trends and ways to improve as well. And we're going to be looking to make this a very proactive process so you don't have to reach out to us and request it, maybe potentially have a schedule that we're reporting on or something like that. So that's kind of the vision for reporting this back to the departments. But it won't include identifying information when we report it out to the department. So I just want to make that part clear. So again, this was talked about in the demo, but it's so important. So I'm reminding again that employees have access to the offboarding tile and their limited self-service profile for 45 days after they separate from the university. This offboarding will be added to the access they currently have, which allows them to view their pay stubs and W-2s and change their address. This is also going to be helpful information for you to share with your employee in the event the employee didn't provide you a 2-week notice. Hopefully they did. But if they didn't, make sure that they know that they should still go into their employee self-service after they leave so they can participate in this offboarding process, even if they're no longer physically here at the university. So in addition to all these system updates, we also updated the web pages to reflect useful information and job aids to help everybody through this process. So there's going to be an offboarding website for managers and another offboarding website for employees. And the web pages are designed to give targeted information that each audience needs to know regarding the offboarding process. So the offboarding website for managers is going to be located under the talent management / separation portion of the HR website as it's titled now. We will be changing the title from separation to offboarding to match the terminology. We're going to provide detailed information and tips for offboarding employees and provide links to job aids and useful information for managers. So you saw the checklist that Teresa showed you for the supervisors. This website goes into a lot more detail as to what those steps look like in practice. So we'll also have the link, like I said, to the job aids to walk you through the manager's offboarding process in PeopleSoft that Teresa just demonstrated. We are also having an offboarding website for the employees. This will be located in the employee relations / separation portion of the HR website. And we will also change the name from separation to offboarding here. And we're also going to provide information for employees to the offboarding process that also directs those that are included in this phase one rollout to complete the information in employee self-service and a job aid that walks them through that as well. So in addition to all this, sharing this information with you and you all taking it back to your teams, we are also on the schedule with U of Ufsc today to include an announcement to everybody in that daily email in July. And we'll also include a section in the July monthly newsletter to supervisors, which will announce this information. And that newsletter will provide a link to the new website and a link to this recorded session as well. So that for anybody who is unable to attend this session, they will still have access to all this information. All right, so now we're going to get into questions that you may have entered during the chat during this presentation. I'm going to let my colleagues here jump in and read those out to me since I can't see them in the presentation mode.
Melissa, I think we've answered the questions that have come in, primarily about who will have access to this data, which you just covered. And then there's some great comments here from our IT friends letting us know there's a lot of system access and streamlining potentially a checklist for all of the different accesses, which would be outside of human resources.
Great. Well, thank you all for jumping in and answering those questions that could be covered on chat. And I thank you all for attending this offboarding training. If you do run into any questions about the offboarding, please feel free to reach out to Employee Relations and we'll be happy to help. And so we have a couple of brief but important updates to share with you today. So I'm going to turn things over to Connie Thompson, who's going to kick us off with our first HR update topic of onboarding.
So thank you, Melissa. Melissa's done a great job of covering this new automated process that we're excited to be able to roll out in PeopleSoft for offboarding. But I'm going to take you back to a year ago in April when we rolled out our onboarding process. And we have had the opportunity now, having been live a year and a month or two, to actually go in and do a deep dive into our survey results because, you know, our new employees, when they go through our automated onboarding process, we also trigger them a survey. And we are so excited to have data to actually make decisions about changes. So we have utilized the data, we've analyzed it, and we are going to be making some tweaks. We've actually already made some tweaks in the back end, and our new employees that are being hired now are having a little bit different, we hope, improved experience. So this first slide is just calling out some of the changes that we've made just in the last month that are employee facing for our onboarding participants. So they used to, for the first year when they went in, they had to change the home page. When they logged into PeopleSoft, it would automatically put them into employee self-service, and they'd have to change the home page to go into their onboarding. We have eliminated that unnecessary step, and so now the onboarding tile actually resides in the employee's ESS. So when they log in, it drops them right in there, and immediately they can see the onboarding tile. We also learned with our response rate on our onboarding survey that perhaps we had just put too much time in between the actual onboarding experience and the survey. It was triggered at 90 days. We have decreased that time. Now the survey is going to be triggered at the 45th day from employment. And then they will get a reminder at the 60th day, and then the survey tile disappears at the 75th day. So we've just moved that survey closer to when they've actually finished the experience of enrolling in their benefits and completing their onboarding process. So hopefully that's going to increase our response rate. We would ask you as managers to please engage with your employees and encourage them to complete that onboarding survey. You can see we're utilizing the data to make improvements. And so it's important that we hear from them. So we ask that you join us in the effort to encourage them to complete the survey. We've made a few other small tweaks. We have added the onboarding feedback survey tile screenshot. We've embedded it into the email that the employee gets. So we're trying to make connections. So it's just not a bland PeopleSoft generated email. It actually has a picture of what they should be looking for. We saw that some of our staff were confused on the faculty only questions in the survey. So we've tried to improve the delineation that staff, you shouldn't fill these questions out. These are just for faculty only. We have renamed the survey tile again to give more emphasis so they know immediately that the survey is out there. We've added a link in the onboarding feedback email to take the employee directly into the survey. So when they log in, when they click the login in the email, it takes them right directly into the survey so they can get started on that. And then we've added a new job aid for the employees as they're going through the survey in case they need assistance from that standpoint. And then the next slide will walk us through the manager focus changes. So this is for you. So we want to make sure that our managers across the university understand that they are the key guide for these new employees. You know, they are the ones, you are the ones who should be most invested in that employee having a positive onboarding experience. Our HR contacts are certainly there for support, but the manager of that employee is the one who should really be monitoring and making sure that employee is getting off to a good start. So we've added some tools in Manager Self-Service that can help support you as you monitor your new employee's onboarding process. We've added an email notification that gets triggered to you when onboarding is assigned. We've added a new dashboard within your Manager Self-Service to support your monitoring. It will tell you whether the employees have not started their onboarding or if they're in progress. We've added a link in the Manager Onboarding dashboard to take you to view the employee onboarding, so you can have the link right there, and it will then drill you into that employee's onboarding so you can see what they've accomplished and what they haven't. And then lastly, within that information, we've actually provided the link to our manager onboarding information that can give you more detailed information as a guide if you need help as you guide your employees. So we hope that these improvements, again, that have come out of the survey data and come out of our first year overall experience are really going to help improve even more so that onboarding process for our new hires. And then the last slide is about the survey data. So as I explained, we have taken all of the year plus survey data and we've pulled it together. We've provided it to our employee relations unit and our HR service team managers. And we are looking at, just as consistently with the offboarding, ways that we can provide this data in aggregate format to the colleges and divisions. We do want to push out the information, and we intend to do that. So we are looking as now, as we go through the offboarding process as well, how is the best way for us to roll out this information through queries so that you have the information you need to make improvements as well. And then we have found through the survey that the employees who've completed it are more than happy to call out shout outs for managers who have done a great job. And we want to pass that on. So you're going to begin seeing in our HR supervisor newsletter that comes out monthly, a section for call outs. So if our employees say, you know, my ex-manager has really done a great job and I feel perfectly at home here and feel like I've made a great decision about working at USC, we want to be able to call that out. And so we're going to share that information. And we're excited to have the data to be able to do it. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, Connie. All right, next we're going to have Helen present some updates on benefits. Helen, if you can unmute yourself.
My apologies. I was talking to myself. Thank you so much, Melissa, and good afternoon, everyone. A new family sick leave reason code was added on June the 16th And this basically would enable employees to use both sick leave, family, and sick leave personal reasons on the same day if necessary. We will send out a reminder to employees who submitted leave prior to the change to cancel and resubmit the leave using the new reason code as the leave reason, so they are able to use both sick leave family and sick leave personal on the same day. So if you can assist us by encouraging these employees, because you will be included on the email, to cancel and resubmit the leave request. Next slide, please. It is important to review the absent queries because it would prevent overpayment in the annual leave payout amount, as well as prevent incorrect leave transfer data when employees leave the university. The unapproved absence requests and unapproved cancel absent queries are great to review and work before each absence approval deadline, which is posted on our website. The next deadline is Wednesday, June 29th at 5:00 p.m. As an FYI, we have 3 staff members managing the absence calculation process before each pay period, and it's important that this process is completed timely, as it will impact the payroll process to produce checks on time. So if you can go out there and review those queries by the deadline, it will be highly appreciated. The leave transfer pool reminder: being in a leave without pay status can be very stressful. So we wanted to remind you, if an employee provides documentation certifying that a medical emergency will last a minimum of 30 days, resulting in a period of leave without pay, there's not a need to wait until the 30th day to submit the leave transfer pool request. It's our hope that this will prevent a lapse in pay, so go ahead and submit that information. If you have questions regarding the reminders that I shared today, please email us at hrleave@mailbox.sc.edu. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll turn it back over to Melissa.
Thank you so much, Helen. That is all we have for you this afternoon. So if there's no further questions, I want to thank you all for your time today and hope you have a great rest of the week. And I can give you some time back. Thank you.